He's whiny.
Yeah, like he sounds like such a bitch. Just absolutely minimal effort on all of my attempts to cook for myself recently. And the result has been like, I have this massive, like 66 liter pot that's just constantly on the stove that I'm just refreshing.
That same one? That same pot? Still going?
Yeah. Yeah. Still, there's some meme thing, right? It's like infinite soup or whatever, where you like eat like 95% of the soup and then you leave like 5% of it because like the, I don't know, like something about the way that it oxidizes or the way that it cooks, like, if you leave it there as like a seed to start like your next round of soup, it makes it like better, faster or something. I don't know. It's some sort of like mom witchcraft type stuff. But I've been doing that. And then, you know, dude, I've just been getting like a 10-pound bag of potatoes and just cooking them, just like air frying them in my oven or baking them or whatever. And then just like, I'm not even like salting or peppering them. I'm just taking the potatoes and just eating them. Just straight up. Just putting them in the pockets of my jacket and walking around eating the potatoes.
That's kind of psycho behavior. Though I can say potatoes I can eat without anything. I like the way they straight up taste naturally, but
they're 100%. They're really, really fucking good with like, yeah. I mean, a baked potato with like butter and salt and pepper is like extremely better, but it comes down to be this thing of like, okay, so I have like 30 fucking potatoes and I have to cut each one open and I have to butter each one of them. And it's just like, really, this is a lot.
Wait. You cook all the potatoes at the same time?
Yeah, I cook like 10 pounds of them.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I basically eat like 10 pounds of potatoes a day.
Really? That's all you just eat? That's insanity.
Well, that's what I have for my carbs. I have no idea how much like actually, like I don't know how many grams of carbs are in it.
That sounds like a lot of grams of carbs. It also sounds like a lot of. But do you eat anything else other than potatoes, or just only potatoes?
Yeah, I mean, I usually have, and I've been trying to eat a little bit more now too because I had a period where
I feel like I couldn't even eat 10 pounds of potatoes.
You can do it. I don't know though. I've always had like a decent metabolism, but I sort of like stopped eating when I was doing a bunch of like job stuff for the last few months, and so I need to like there's like I cannot let my bench get under 315. And like we've gradually gone down from like being able to rep like 7 or 8 with 315, and now where it's like it's really fucking hard to do 2. So like I need to start eating again. I can't lose the 3-plate bench.
The 3-plate bench is quite the accomplishment. It's hard to, you don't want to get rid of that. Your whole identity is gone.
Right. Yeah. No, I'll lose my sense of self if the 3-plate bench goes away. So I have to start going back and eating again. And you know, it's actually kind of a pain in the ass because like I'm realizing more and more that, you know, lifting heavy is it's kind of killing me, bro.
Absolutely. Hey, I was just talking about that. We were just talking about that. About like lifting heavy into like later into life, not just when I was out with Med Gold. That was part of the conversation.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I mean it's just really observably true.
Yeah. Are you thinking of doing the thing that a lot of people start to do, where they just do insane amount of reps of lower weight, like instead of doing benching with 315, just doing like dozen reps of like
you can really like maintain muscle if you just do like a bajillion reps with shit, right? Like the exception is like, so my legs have never ever grown if I was going to do like heavy weights on stuff. I have like if I do like a 5x5 or even like a 10x5 on squats, just absolutely nothing happens to my legs. They don't get bigger.
Yeah.
But like if I do a bunch of like 10 to 20 rep sets on legs, they get fucking massive.
Yeah, legs, I feel like you need high reps for those.
Yeah.
Though I used to do the same thing I did with bench, and I would do like 5x5 or whatever, and I would even ladder it because I always like to ladder the weights. I don't like to do the same weight every time, and it would still not really do much, except for I would get like, you know, aches and pains.
And it's like totally the opposite for me on upper body stuff, right? Like if I do exclusively a 20 rep set of bench, just nothing at all happens, right? Like there will be no muscle growth. You won't even be able to tell I lift. I'll just be like I'll look like a bicyclist I will look like the average bicyclist. So I have to do a little bit more there. And I don't know, like I'm trying to figure out how I can do basically everything with like, I have this 240-pound weighted vest and I have the rings and I have like the calisthenics setup. And honestly, like the calisthenics stuff just feels so much better from the perspective of like, like when I'm playing tennis afterward, you can tell I basically only did like weightlifting for years and years, probably like out of the years that I've been playing tennis, which is, I don't know, like 14, 15 at this point. There was a point where maybe after I turned like 17, I started weightlifting, and that was like the only training that I did for it. And you can totally tell that weightlifting doesn't like it helps athletically in some ways, but it doesn't do like the full chain unless you do like very specific exercises. And like bench, squat, dead, overhead press are not like those specific exercises. So there's always like whenever you're starting to sprint or something, you can tell like, oh yeah, cool. Like my hammies are fucking jacked and my glutes are massive, but like there's some weird fucking muscle in my knee or something that like I can't use, like I can't go all out here without like losing stability or something. So there would always just be some sort of weird like athletic disconnect. And like that never happens with any of the calisthenics stuff because like you're doing it all at the same time, right? Like it's always a situation where like if you're doing some sort of weird like planche hold or something like that, like you need to involve your core. You can't just have that as like a weakness, whereas you totally can in like back squats. And like, oh, back squats work out your core. Like I guess like they do kind of, but like, this was always a meme. Everyone starts lifting and I read Mark Ripeto's Starting Strength and he says that the big 3 exercises are going to be plenty enough work for my arms and abs. And it's like, they simply are not, dude. Nobody who has either good looking or strong abs does exclusively bench, squat, dead, right? You all do direct ab work if they want that, or they do some sort of like weird calisthenics, like those guys who get up on a bar and they do all these weird like ghetto gymnast stuff.
Yeah, like the that CrossFit shit, like the muscle ups, they call them.
Yeah, weird flippy shit like that, right? Like that's how you build strong cores. Unfortunately, it's not actually going and squatting 500 pounds.
I like to tell myself I still like to tell myself that squatting builds abs, and then I don't need to do ab work as long as
it does build abs. But like, are you aware of like how your abs are structured in terms of like the muscles?
What do you mean?
So this is another thing where we should 100% pop up like a diagram.
Okay,
but like there's
I did that actually last time. You'll be proud. I did that for the last video. I kept the timestamps.
Yeah, 7:45 here. We need to be telling them where the different ab bands go. But basically, like,
let me get my little notepad for that.
So we have different bands of abs, and we have different. So like, how muscles work essentially, right? And that like there's a directionality to them. They flex and they contract across one linear dimension. There needs to be an ability for your abs to flex in multiple directions other than just like pulling your head down towards your pelvis. Like you need to be able to flex side to side and in and out and all of that stuff. And the only way to achieve that is by having multiple layers of ab bands that are all going in different directions, right? So you might work one of those bands by doing like sit-ups, right? But you don't work the others, or you don't work them completely, and you don't work the primary plane of activity. And it's the same with like back squats, right? Like back squats do indeed work some ab muscles. They work some of the muscles that are in the region we describe as your abs, but they don't work all of them, or they don't work all of them to the extent that you would want them to for like athletic movements.
I see what you're saying. So you don't get the same. It's kind of like when you do it's kind of like when you don't do like those ancillary muscle workouts, when you're just like the stability muscle stuff, when you're like benching, and then you just have worse results.
Yeah, except it's not even like a stability muscle type thing. It's like all of the muscles are equally as like they're all, think of it more like, instead of the stability muscles, as like the different heads in your quad. Like they're all fucking big. It's not like one of them is just like a minor little muscle that doesn't matter. They all are like very important athletically.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you got to do multiple variations of exercise to hit all of them.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's why all the good ab workouts are like I don't know. Do you know the classic Athlete and X ab video?
I have seen that one actually. His abs are insane. I'll give him that.
he has like the like 10-minute ab training video or whatever it is. And you can tell just when you're doing the exercises, like you can tell when you go through and you've fatigued a different set of your like abs, right?
Mm-hmm. I hate when I fatigue the lower abs because I used to have to do that for swimming. We do a lot of like what is like the flutter kicks and shit like that.
Oh yeah, where you just hold your legs up off the ground and
and we did a lot of that and for like extensive periods of time. And then like I remember one time I literally was like incontinent. Like I would like piss myself. So I just didn't have the lower ab ability to keep it in.
That's the problem, right? Like you do swimming for so many years and you get used to just peeing in the pool and your bladder shrinks, right? You don't have the ability to hold it anymore because
I didn't pee in the pool. I wasn't peeing in the pool. I literally just like in my life I just walked through. Like I think I was sleeping. I like pissed myself in my sleep because I couldn't use my abs because they were like exhausted. You know, there's some kind of ab control, I guess, when you're holding your piss in. And then
you did the pregnant woman thing. You lost your control of your pelvic floor muscles. It all just dribbled out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's happening to me now. You know, as soon as I got past age 18, the old man syndrome starts hitting in, and the pee just sort of dribbles out after I use the bathroom. Yeah,
fucking over. That's what life is now. It's just increasing amounts of dribble coming out of your pee.
Yeah, no, and it was great. Like when I was a kid, I just had to shake the tip of my penis out for maybe 1 or 2 flicks at the urinal. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm fucking 54 years old, I sit there for damn near 45 minutes shaking my penis out, making sure that I've got every last little dribble.
I always like to do the Go-Gurt, like the Go-Gurts, you know, when you try to get the last yogurt out of the Go-Gurt tube and just pop it out.
You've got to watch out for that Go-Gurt thing though. One time I pushed. And you know how you're kind of squeezing the blood to the tip there?
Yeah.
I accidentally just burst the blood vessel.
No. Right? That's so brutal.
Started bleeding everywhere, right? I walked out to work and everyone asked like, Lucas, are you okay? And they gestured to my pants and it looked like I had, a period.
That's crazy.
Like I was a
That's nuts. Oh, yeah. See, you learn a lot of stuff listening to our podcast. Now we learned how to keep our penis safe and healthy.
Yeah, you've got to make sure you don't Go-Gurt too hard.
Yep, no Go-Gurt. So my abs have always sucked though. I mean, even when I did a lot of ab workouts, they never ever been like, they were only really good when I was thin in high school and like a little bit into college. When I was like 18, like at the latest, when I had like, you know, I was weighing like 185 pounds, which like on my physique has always been like very on the low end. But
the thing with abs is there is definitely like a trade-off between the optimal level of abs for like looking really sexy and the optimal level of abs for being like an athletic freak beast. And being an athletic freak beast is probably going to require you get your midsection like a little bit thicker than one would like for maximum sexiness, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you want to go for maximum sexiness, you know, the outer ab bands you have, the ones that like comprise like the 6-pack, the 8-pack, 4-pack, whatever you have for your genetics. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that you want to make those as big as possible, and you want to make the other ones like not prominent because they just make your stomach stick out more and they make your waist kind of look bigger and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to focus just on the ones that you use. Like if you were to hang from a bar and like try and lift your knees up to your chest, those are the ones that you want to just keep railing on, keep building those, and then just like fucking ignore all the other directionality. And it's like you look really shiny, right? Really beautiful, but it's one of those things where, you know, if you get into a fight with some sort of big Viking mountain man, he's probably going to fuck you up. He's probably going to lift you up off the ground, and he's going to bring your tiny little girl waist down on his knee. Mm-hmm. He's gonna do the Bane thing.
Yeah, just fucking
gonna break the bat back, and it's fucking over for you.
Yep, you don't have any protection.
No.
Yeah, true.
There's absolutely nothing to do about that. No, and dude, so we've had a lot that happened since our last podcast here, and we've had a lot that's happened even in the last day, right? So, how checked in were you to the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank thing?
Literally none of it. Like my friend started messaging me. I was literally out hanging out with my goal, and then my friend started texting me about FDIC and blah blah blah. He was just going off, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I just like ignored it. And then I like woke up this morning and I was like, and I saw like the fucking chart of like the USDC depeg, and I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I see.
Yep.
So which is nuts because I used to have all my money in USDC. So I got an argument with him about how safe USDC was, and he would have fucking fucking destroyed me if I had all my money still in it. But anyway, continue.
Well, I basically have half my net worth in USDC. And I mean, my bet with that was like, it's basically the globalist coin, right?
Yeah, that was yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not going to go under because this is literally, it is the neoliberal coin. It is very literally like
banks. It's not like particularly like decentralized or anything. It's like backed by banks entirely in cash.
It's so centralized that they've actually halted transactions entirely. Like,
oh really? They just were like, you can't trade on this.
Yeah, that's like I forget what it was, but there was a period where, because it's basically like directly tied to fiat, there was some sort of weird like financial loophole where they consider it to be fiat effectively, and they froze the chain. Like, they froze all.
That's what I tell people. Bro, I've been telling people forever. Like, that's the only stable coin that I'm like, this is not really a stable coin. It's literally just dollars. And I know that it says it's crypto, but and that's why I picked it. That's why I always used it, because I was like, there's no chance that this is like going to go anywhere because it's 100% backed. And everyone's like, everyone says every coin's 100% backed. I'm like, no, I guarantee this is 100% backed. And it turns out it is. It's actually 100% backed in like 3 different versions of like cash.
Well, now it's not.
Well, no, 23% of it. Well, the guy made a thread who runs it. Like 23% of their stuff is in physical cash that got fucked by, or whatever, in like the cash that was fucked by the bank run. But then the rest of the peg is
correct.
On like
the rest of it's in treasury bills and whatever. Yeah. And I mean, so this was my thought basically is it's making them too fucking much money, right? They have they have $40 billion. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about here, this is a stable coin, which is basically a cryptocurrency that is pegged to $1 because it has a so like they issued 40 billion of these USDC. It's like USD Circle, so US dollar Circle, and Circle is like the banking conglomerate that is like overseeing all of this. And
I think that's Goldman Sachs, pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like Goldman Sachs.
I think Circle owns or Goldman Sachs owns Circle, or like is a part.
It's somehow connected to Coinbase, and it's somehow connected to some big like central bank. Like USDC is like actually like it's like a big bank verified. And yeah, big banks aren't necessarily like the most, like I wouldn't compare their honesty to say like you or me or any other normal person, but like compared to all institutions, I think they're a little more hamstrung into, telling the truth, right? They have a little bit more transparency with the order books that they're dealing with. And so they have this thing that they have distributed, and people want something. So like if people have money in the crypto ecosystem and they want to buy Bitcoin, and then let's say they sell Bitcoin, right? They sell it at like $50,000 and they need to sell it into something, right? They need to sell it into money. They don't necessarily want to pull it out of crypto because it's a pain in the ass to like, you take the Bitcoin, you transfer it to an exchange, you sell into the money, you transfer the money back into your account. Then later when you need to deploy it again, you transfer it back into the exchange, and then you buy, it's so many steps. And every one of these steps you have to pay capital gains tax on. So it's just, well, not only capital gains tax, but you have to pay a transaction fee. You have to pay like the slippage. Like there's just a lot of fees associated with like moving the stuff in and out of fiat. So people generally like keeping their money in crypto if they know that they're not going to like need the capital to deploy for some other reason. So stable coins give them that opportunity. So they can sell their Bitcoin into this USDC, which is functionally like a dollar, right? So they sell Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever other thing into this thing that is functionally $1. And then they can go and hold on to it until they want to buy something else with that $1. So it's a very safe thing that is tied to $1 because of the way that it's backed. And there's a bunch of like arbitrage mechanisms that prevent it from, like USDC is never going to be worth like $15, right? Like it's not like Ethereum where it's going to like appreciate in value because of supply and demand, because there would be no, like the demand wouldn't exist unless it was matched by like an equivalent backing, right? Yeah. So they have $40 billion of these stable coins that they have issued. And of those $40 billion, about 75% of the funds that they have been given, like the dollars that are backing them. So $30 billion have been put into treasury bills, which are they're considered to be like a cash equivalent investment, but they earn like they're super liquid. They can get out of them at any point, but they earn interest. So they are now earning something like $2.2 billion per year just on the interest from their treasury bills.
Which is why they give you interest for holding USDC. So if you hold USDC,
they give you a tiny little bit on some of these platforms, but like mostly they keep all of this shit for themselves. And so they have this massive cash cow that's making them billions a year without them really doing anything, right? Like there's very little oversight here that needs to be done as like an ongoing maintenance thing. Very little overhead. And so so like they don't want this to collapse because it's essentially just an infinite money printer for them. It also looks really, really bad for all of these big, like if Coinbase goes under, that's kind of like, that's
like the end of everything. Like you can't have.
That's literally it for crypto, right? Like Coinbase has been around for fucking ever. And like my mom knows Coinbase, right? If Coinbase, that's where she has her Bitcoin. That's where she's been holding it forever. If Coinbase goes down, then like,
crypto's over like overnight because like you can't have FTX, Terra, this, that, like it all go away overnight. That's not gonna.
I mean, like Do Kwon, Luna, 3AC, like all these things going down. It's like, it was big and it was bad, but like nobody knows who the fuck these people are. It is even with FTX, like people now know who Sam was, but it is like it's not the same, right? Like FTX was this thing that people learned about because of the crash, whereas like people independently know about Coinbase.
Yes.
So like I think not only that, but I mean Adam Cochrane, I don't know. He did a big thread that basically said anytime something like this happens, people kind of fill the hole, right? So this is the other thing. I totally forgot to finish the story. So 75% of the assets are held up in these treasury bills. The other 25% is held in cash. So if people with one USDC token, they want to redeem it for $1, they can. So this is the agreement that Circle has. If you have an account with Circle, you can go, and there's limits to this, right? Like you can only do like I think 250,000 a week at like the base level. So you can't just redeem like $20 billion in 1 week, right? But you do basically have the ability to pull money out of this. You can get your actual fiat dollars out by giving them the USDC crypto token. And this interchangeability is a lot of why, like, so Coinbase has combined their USDC and USD, like the actual fiat dollar and these token, they've combined them in their order books.
Ooh,
so like,
interesting.
They're marked exactly the same, right? They're calculated and tabbed exactly the same. So this is why they shut down the this is one of many reasons. So Coinbase shut down the ability to transfer USDC to USD over this weekend, basically because USDC depegged from that dollar because of this hole that appeared in the balance book because of the bank that they kept the fiat under. So like they lost something like 7% of the 40 billion that they had. So now instead of being backed, every $1 being backed by $1, now every $1 is backed by 93 cents. So this news caused the market to shit the bed a little bit. They freaked out. They're correcting it down to around 93 cents now because that's what it's backed at. I think that it's going to go back to peg. I think it's going to go
absolutely,
fully filled back.
Yeah, and I mean, even they were saying that like by Monday it'll be fine, but because the banks are closed over the weekend, so a lot of this happened after whatever hours, after banking hours, so there was no way to like alter anything. So the whole weekend, there's this issue, right? But since it's centralized enough, they can turn it off. But they're in the guy's thread, he was like, "Oh yeah, on Monday it can be resolved because all the banks are open again. They can do shit again."
Yeah, and everyone is saying, "Oh, they froze the ability to withdraw USDC. It's over. But like, this is kind of like what you have to do, right? Like this is how you prevent the death spirals. Like if Luna had done this, if Luna had prevented them from pulling out UST, like they just frozen that from anger.
Yeah, it would have been fine. It just wouldn't have broken.
They literally would have had like a few weeks to like figure everything out, and they could have averted the whole thing, right? So, I mean, this is sort of the thing that you do with bank runs. It definitely decreases investor trust. Nobody wants to be holding an asset that they can just like freeze like that. But like we already knew they could freeze it. This is
it's like whatever.
Yeah, like
and if you're gonna freeze it, you might as well freeze it for a good reason. Like,
and this is literally like going to save the whole thing from just like death spiraling. And I don't know. I mean, it's So I longed it last night, right? I don't know if anyone saw my post, but everyone was freaking out about what to do about all of this. And I know a bunch of crypto projects that had they had their treasuries in USDC, and a lot of them sold out for like massive, because when it goes from being $1 a token to being 93 cents per token, now people are losing 7 cents, right? So they're selling their entire treasury into Tether. And this is the other thing, because so many people were selling USDC into Tether, the value of Tether was going up to like $1.08. So like instead of being, so they were taking a massive haircut. They were taking like a 15% haircut on a lot of these treasuries to go and redistribute it to like that, or like Binance USD or these other stable coins. And I was basically like, I think it's coming back and I'm going to long, right? Like I'm going to wait for this for the biggest red candle I see. And I got in at like 90 cents, 91 cents. I rode the wave a few times and just longed it back up. And it got back up to like 98.9 or something today. And I got out then. And so I'm not holding any USDC anymore. I have a ton of Ethereum, which probably will dump in the future too. But at least we're not holding this other weird thing, and we can wait for it to go on. So my best trade of the last like 6 months was like a 15 times leverage long on a fucking stable coin.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's what we're going to do. I mean, the last time I had a really good play was when stable coins were collapsing during Terra. So it seems that's like the best play of the last year, only stable coins collapsing and then like recouping their losses. I mean, I would have figured, like, I think, was it Tether? I think Tether was like starting to depeg for a bit because people were freaking out. After Luna? Sorry, I don't know why I'm yawning. After Luna, everyone started freaking out with Tether, and it was like starting to depeg, like, a few months ago or several months ago. And I remember also like kind of longing that. But yeah, no, that's not good. I mean, I'm glad that USDC's got it together, because this would have been fucking absolute carnage, and that would have been the end of everything.
Well, but I don't know for sure that they've got it together, right? Like I'm betting on it happening.
They're probably having it together. I think it's gonna be fine.
I think they are too, and I think the chances that like there might be like a 3-week period of weird shit going on, but I think in the end it's going to go back. And like I'm loving this, right? Because this is the this is the ideal market to trade. Is you have a coin that is going to be volatile, but it's going to be volatile between like a very known range, right? Like we know USDC is not going to go below 0 and is not going to go above $1, right? So like I'm not going to get short squeezed if I put my stop at like $1.10 and I'm shorting, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. It's never going to fucking happen, because nobody is going to pump it up unless like, okay, I'm lying a little bit. They could theoretically do it if like a bajillion people all do this, but like,
yeah, I guess they could. I don't think I've ever seen
you would need so many fucking idiots shorting it so heavy for them to pump it up to like 110 in this environment.
It's so but it's so liquid that I just don't see how you would need. I mean, it's the thing is it's incredibly liquid, right? It's like one of the most liquid assets in the industry. So I couldn't imagine it ever even getting to 110. I think I've seen it at most 101, 102.
It got down to like 35 cents on Binance. There was a candle down to literally 35 cents on Binance US.
That's insanity.
But I mean, Binance US,
it's not liquid. Binance US.
Yeah, I was going to say Binance literally is known for having like the least liquid order books, but like that was really wild, man. 35 cents. Like some guy had a stink bid on fucking USDC for like 40 cents
and like tripled his money. That's kind of sick. That's awesome. I wish I was like paying attention at all. Every time I fucking go outside and try to, be a normal person and have a social life, I fucking
the same exact thing.
How to make money.
Yeah, like I fucked around. I had to learn some new stuff for a job. I come back and everyone's like, "Oh, Lucas, did you get your schizo posters?" And I was like, "What?" And I find there's this like fucking genuinely cool NFT project released, and like the guy who made it is like the account name for the NFT account was like modeled after mine, like stylized after mine. He had a bunch of like references to like my posts and shit in there.
Did he not give it to you?
My like Milady stuff. And like I had like 5 wallets that were whitelisted across like 3 different collections that I could have minted free from these on.
I think it's rude that he didn't give it to you for free. Just send you.
No, well, he did actually talk to me after about that, and he was like, I guess at some point, like a couple months ago, he had messaged me on the account or something, but so
you missed it. Okay.
Yeah, but like because I get like fucking 15 messages a day anymore, and so like I responded to his message initially because we're mutuals, but he messaged me on like the NFT projects account, which like I'm not mutuals with, so it went to my weird.
Oh yeah,
you know that like hidden.
Then you'll never see the request. The request box. Yeah,
I see some of them, but it's just so fucking many, man. And the worst is like when people start adding you to group chats in there. So like, and like I don't know, like I'm scared to like accept or leave those group chats because like I left one group chat and all of these guys, I get sent all these screenshots like, oh, fucking Lucas thinks he's too good for us now. Oh, Lucas is a bastard. So like after that, and after they all got poisoned against me after I left the one group chat, I'm like, I have PTSD, right? Like I'm never going to leave another group chat in my life.
Damn. No, I missed Skizzle posters because my life is going in shambles, and then I missed fucking USDC. I'm not catching a break. I'm in the fucking trenches right now.
That's just what I said, man. Everybody tells you to fucking go out and touch grass, and then the instant you touch grass, your network just like decreases by 50%.
There's no such thing as touching grass. It's the cringiest thing. I mean, you kind of go crazy if we don't, but you got to just push through that and keep your eyes on the charts. That's how it works. If you want to make money, you gotta be sunlight deprived.
I've finally been I feel like we're gearing back up for crypto shit again, right? My brain is we are in the trenches. We are in the crypto trenches. Do you know David Holt, the guy who did like that jungle DeFi thing?
Yeah, I know that guy.
Really cool guy. I've been talking to him a lot lately. He's been telling me he's been sort of orienting me on like what the fuck is going on, because everything that I've done in crypto thus far has been sort of just like an uncoordinated flailing. Like I clearly had no idea what I was doing. Didn't really understand the industry. Didn't understand like how to trade. I knew how to like make friends and get added to group chats, but like that's not this is not a technical skill. This is not the only way
that the most successful skill. The only people I know who've made money consistently are people who just made friends with the richest people in the crypto space, and then they got like freebies or like got in on projects.
Yeah, I guess that is true. I'm trying to. My main thing though is this next bull market, I want to be able to go into this, and I want to be able to say like, okay, now would be an intelligent time to take some profits, or maybe now would be an intelligent time to like deploy some capital, as opposed to just like looking at the charts and being fucking confused and being like, I just have to buy with like 5 times leverage because everything is going up, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't need to be like a master trader. I don't need to be out here, like buying yachts and shit. I just need to know, like, is there a reasonable argument for me selling some here? Like,
I feel like, I feel like that's actually probably the best. When you start to get a little too well versed in trading, you start to like look. It's the whole like hammer. Everything looks like a nail if you have a hammer, but if you get a little too well versed in trading, all of a sudden you get like, it's like the opposite. You try to use fucking every tool in the box to determine how to solve a situation, and then you start making bad decisions. Like what? There's like a little arc that everyone goes through. You start off not knowing shit, and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy here. It's like the midwit arc. And then eventually you start doing a lot better once you like kind of understand the fundamentals of the market and like what's going on and who's building shit and this and the other thing. But then just buy when oh, this is low and this is probably going to go up. Let me buy. Like I stop looking at like charts. I look at charts a little bit because there's a few like patterns that always happen, right? So it's hard to ignore them when you see them. But with very few exceptions, mostly it's like, okay. The crypto market trends super hard. So if it's going up, if it's dipped during an upswing, then you fucking buy because it's going to go up more. Like the crypto market's very easy in that way. It's like you have to understand it for the macro situation and not delude yourself. Like, when in the bull market, people lose money because they're like, all right, it's over. This Friday can't go up any higher. And then they sell when it goes down. And they're like, I watch their back. They stay on the sidelines and they watch their fucking rocket take off. And then in the bear market, people get like fucking like, bro, we just wait. It's coming back, and they keep longing, and they just lose money every time they long. It's like you got to just understand the macro. The market only moves in like when you zoom out, it only goes 3 directions. It goes sideways, up, and down, right? And and it's always in the same order. It's sideways, up, then down, then sideways, up. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like fucking like you can't go up, up, down. You know what I mean? Like it's only one pattern. So if you keep track of the one pattern and like don't delude yourself about what pattern you're in, it's fairly easy to do well. The hard part is, of course, not getting greedy and fucking yourself up because you went so long at 100x leverage because you got too excited because you've been fucking right 8 times in a row. You gotta kind of just keep it casual, that kind of thing. It's it's a fun game. I do hope it comes back soon.
The crypto community as a whole actually reminds me a lot of. Are you familiar with like the hacker community?
So not really, like as an outsider.
So
I know they go to DESCON.
Yeah, I mean the hacker community as a whole. They spend a lot of time. Like people meme about like, oh, like go outside, touch grass, but like the hacker community as a whole are probably like the least socialized group of people that I've come across on the internet. And they genuinely like they haven't, and I'm not saying that they need to change this, right? They're beautiful people, they can do what they want. But they genuinely have not like gone outside in like fucking years. And as a result, the collective humor of the hacker community is perpetually stunted to this like, it's like a 13, 14-year-old level. And it just stays there forever. And I feel like crypto almost has like a similar thing where there's maybe a bunch of people who like they didn't do like the party meme shit in like high school or college, and now suddenly they were handed this big bag of money and like they've like idealized this I'm gonna go out and like go to these big parties and it's gonna be awesome and do the clubs and the strippers and the cocaine and all this stuff, and it's like this big thing that they've like made up in their heads, and they have to go do this, like have this experience now that they have like the money to do it. And it's it sort of has like a short life cycle, right? Like everybody kind of burns out, right? Nobody this is I'm wrong, obviously.
No, everyone does burn out. Either you keep doing it and then you get burnt out on like an existential level, or you get burnt out on like a
there are though people who do this forever, and
that's true. That is true.
I don't want to necessarily disparage them, but it's not.
It's rare. I will say it's a rare number of people who do it forever.
Yeah,
like, there's not that many fucking.
It's like if you're gonna do this shit hard for like more than 2 or 3 years, you risk getting stuck there forever. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of have my thoughts about like, as a guy, there's a few phases that you go through to hit like full self-actualization before you can like get to the end game, right? And like one of them is you need to do some sort of like a physical thing, like weightlifting or like a sport or some sort of like combat type thing, just to like feel, like some sort of like physical mastery, right? What's the BAP term? Like mastery of space or something like that.
Yeah.
And then and all of these only really apply to like high openness guys. If you don't have high openness, then maybe they just don't care. But then the guys usually have like some sort of a drug or like a party phase or something like that, where they like put a bunch of weird shit into their body and like fuck with their mindset, and eventually like and eventually they like take the lessons from this that they want to, right? Like you do amphetamines enough and you eventually learn like, like there's this sort of like weird metallic jittery like focused headspace, and you can like replicate portions of it without necessarily doing the amphetamines. It's the same thing with alcohol. You get hammered when you're 16, you grow a huge pair of balls, you go and you ask out that cute girl, and then you sober up and you realize, fuck, I can do, like now that I've seen myself do that, I can do this same exact thing but soberly. And then you use it as like a sort of like an instructor, right? You go and you take from it what you want and you leave. You don't get stuck there forever, right? You don't need to forever get drunk to do that same thing. And then guys usually go and they have a phase where they like try and figure out girls, right? Like how do I
get bitches? How do I get the bitches?
Yeah, like how do I?
Whomst among us has not thought this?
Yeah. I'm not going to say like a pickup artist phase or anything, but like at least a period of like trying to like understand these as like distinct creatures that aren't like, they're not men. They're a different thing.
You got to effectively you're reverse engineering. It's like a little black box situation.
Yeah.
Right. And they're still human, but they're like, a different box. It's a brown box. It's a pink box situation.
And then the last one is money. And then guys usually go and they try and figure out, okay, how do I make money? How do I convince myself that I have a good enough understanding of the world and my model of the world is correct enough? I know enough about like the economy and like the overall industry that I can make money on command. And they do that. And all of these are phases that like they take some amount of time on average, but like if you get stuck in any one of these, it sort of prevents you from ever like growing up, right? Like if you become the guy who's 65 years old and you're still lifting for 3 hours a day, you've sort of like lost the plot, right? Like you know, you're probably gonna look great. You're probably gonna be the most jacked 65-year-old out there, but you're tossing.
You look like Vince McMahon.
You're tossing your time at something that isn't necessarily going to like reward you a lot in terms of fulfillment, right? And people talk about like, oh, the girls are like the fucking egg cartons, they're running out, girls, or they're going to be infertile, they're not going to have kids, they're going to hate themselves. But like, it is very much so the same exact thing with getting hung up on any one of these weird facets of like your developmental set as a male. If you wind up dedicating your life to being like the drug party guy, you're similarly going to find yourself in like a deeply unfulfilled place after you hit like 40 years old or whatever, right? And it's the same thing with money, I assume. I can't speak there. I can't fucking speak because I've never focused on acquiring money as my primary goal for 30 years in a row. But like, I do tend to believe.
I don't feel like anyone who's done that has had a problem. I feel like most of those guys end up okay.
I think they end up like, I don't know.
I think you get in trouble with that if you do that in the wrong order. I feel like if you become the money guy at like 22,
I don't think it's a prioritization. I think it depends on the prioritization. Like, I think if you get to the level where, you know, and like Elon is a good example of this, where like he's sort of quit, right? Like he did the thing. He raised the billions and billions of dollars. He's convinced at this point, like he can make money. Elon knows how to make money. I'm sure that his subconscious mind has accepted, okay, I am good enough at making money. And now he's sort of like dicking around. Like his venture with Twitter is not an attempt to make more money.
No, it's losing money. He's
now doing like personal fulfillment projects, which is where like I think you have to get. I mean, true. Maybe I would suggest that he probably would have a little bit better of a time trying to like mentor some of his kids into becoming like wildly successful.
I think his kids are stupid
freaks of nature.
From what I've seen, I think he kind of came up with like retarded children.
Yeah.
I know he's one.
I don't know exactly anything about his kids or anything. I would just guess though that probably the more fun thing to do would be to see if he can like pass on some of the things that he's learned to his kids in like an expedient manner, right? That's the goal. That's the goal whenever you're trying to talk to like a younger guy, right? Like anytime I come across a younger guy who I see is like smart, has a lot of potential, reminds me of myself in some way. My goal isn't like how do I just be friends and like shoot the shit with this guy? It's like, okay, like because you are like me, you're going to do a series of very stupid things that I did that are going to waste huge fucking portions of your life. How do I make you not do that? Like how do I fast track you through the parts of your life where you like fuck everything up and just like waste your time, right? How do I prevent you from wasting 4 years like bodybuilding or some stupid shit? And like I didn't necessarily like I wouldn't say that I like wasted all of my time bodybuilding, but like I don't know. Like there was a time where like, because I mean I've been lifting for like 10-ish years now, and there was a period there where I simply took weightlifting too seriously for like too long. I see. Yeah. And like the thing with weightlifting is I think you're basically supposed to sort of autism it for the first year or two and then hold it to maintain, because you need like muscle and body fat, they both kind of set point. So if you get to the point where you're very jacked and you have a low body fat and you just hold it there for a while, then after a few years of holding it there, and holding it there doesn't take that much effort, but once you get to the point of holding it there, you don't really need to like keep up the dieting and the lifting to the same extent, right? Like I can at this point lift like once every week or two, and I will keep looking the same way that I do. And I don't have to eat like 3 pounds of meat anymore. I don't have to go out and do all of this, like meal timing and meal planning and stuff like that. Stuff just sort of works. And that's the goal, is at a very young age, you want to set point your body to the point where you look very good. The muscle stays there, and your body doesn't want to lose the muscle because you've had it for so long. And then you just move on, right? You don't spend the rest of your life fucking lifting for 3 hours a day.
That's insanity. I never could have done that, but I do understand the point. Michael, I feel like I could have gone without the fucking years of my like trying to be edgy drug phase. Like, because it wasn't just being a druggie. Well, I wasn't really a druggie, but I was like doing a lot of like the standard shit that you do in college. But there's like a whole part after that where I like tried to like, I had like so many dumb ideas. Like I wanted to like, at first when I was smoking a lot of weed, I wanted to start like a what do they call those things? The places where you just growing. I was like, okay, yeah, but then I was like trying to be edgy, and I was like, actually, we should grow shrimp mushrooms and fucking. And I tried to be like a mycologist, like a fucking psycho. I was like in bio classes learning about mushrooms like a psycho, and then I like realized I hate weed. I still like mushrooms, and then I hate weed, and I was like, okay, we're gonna move on, but we still have to be like my mind was like, okay, maybe we don't do the weed thing, and instead we do like fucking, I don't know, it's just like more and more stupid ideas in this drug phase, in this drug edgy, and then because I can never just do a normal thing, right? It always had to be like, oh, let me.
I was very we both have a very similarly like contrarian attitude towards a lot of this stuff.
Stupid.
Where like we can read about any sort of normal thing, and this was classic, right? Like so, I start lifting, and I start off doing like all of the normal like ripetose starting strength, and eventually I'm like, wait, this is fucking dumb. Everybody does this. I want to do something totally weird and unconventional, and so like. Some guy was like, oh, bro, have you tried this workout routine where you like, oh, God, this was so fucking awful. So this guy made me a routine where I did 5 lifts every session. And the goal would be you start off with like a weight that you can do for like a 10 rep max, right? So let's say you're doing weighted pull-ups. So you do a weight that you can do for 10 reps. And then as you wait like 20 seconds. And then your goal is to try and wait long enough that you can just barely crank out another 3 reps. And then you do those 3 reps, and then you wait another like 10 or 20 seconds. Then you do another 3 reps, and then you keep doing the 3 rep sets until you get to like 50.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is like
it sounds horrible. It sounds like it feels like shit.
I got really, really big, really fast, but that shit fucking sucked, dude. That was so bad. And like one of the exercises that the guy had me do all the time was like 1-arm dumbbell rows. So then you have to do it with the other side too. And it's like
so long.
Dumbbell rows are just like an extremely exhausting lift for you know.
Like, but the thing is with those is like I feel like it's hard to see, it's like doing that with that, like with dumbbell rows would be hard because like I feel like you lose the form, right? Like it's hard to keep your elbows high. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it would be, you kind of start, I mean, unless you're just fucking, goated, but I feel like I would just like lose the form, and then it's like, what the fuck is the point of me continuing
dumbbell
to do
rows? I can do it. Barbell rows get a little harder. Barbell rows are the ones where it starts breaking down when I'm totally fucked. But dumbbell rows, I can usually kind of keep it together. But I don't know. It all kind of depends on how you support yourself. And like rows themselves are kind of a meme exercise in the sense that, like I say, oh, I do barbell rows, and like everybody has their own conception of what a barbell row is, right? Like and everything from like overhand, underhand grip to like the hand position, to like how bent over they are. Are you supporting the barbell on your knees? Like where are you bringing it up to? There's like 1 billion variations of barbell rows, and that combined with the fact that everybody has like different bodily proportions, different like just the maybe I have a really short torso compared to you. Maybe your arms are really fucking long. Like any of these things can totally impact a lift, or like the structure of our shoulder joints, or like any of these other weird things. And like all of that always comes into play when you're comparing across lifts. But barbell rows are like, there's so many open ends in terms of how many different variables are going on that it's sort of like, it's a little bit of a meme trying to describe it to people.
I don't like that exercise at all. I do not like bent over rows. Because I always end up stopping, not because of my fucking like back, where it's supposed to be, blow you up, was because like my lower back starts to bother me because of like the fucking position. And I'm just like, okay, this is like miserable. And I'm just like, and it's usually because if I'm lifting a lot, if I'm at the point of my lifting that I'm willing to do bent over rows, it's because I'm regularly lifting, right? And then so like, your muscles, for me, like my like lower back is always tight because it's like my ass, like the glutes and hams and shit are pulling on your lower back. So I'm always like spending like 10 minutes in the shower stretching, touching my toes so that I can like not be in pain. And then if I'm fucking on top of that doing the bent over rows, like my back is like, can you stop, please? This is not going to work for us. So I almost always skip those unless it's like a Smith machine. And even still then I'm like, no, my back, fuck this.
I'm starting to think that like T-bar rows are altogether a better replacement for that stuff. Or like The cable rows.
T-bar row, is that the thing when it's like in between your legs and you like pull it up? Oh yeah, those are. I like those a lot.
T-bar rows also fucking rock because every single time I pick up that T-bar, it straight up cracks like 8 vertebrae in my back. It's like it just goes straight down the line, and like I swear to God, I can feel like my entire spine getting realigned by just like picking the thing up. It feels so nice.
I feel like it's because I've seen a few different versions of this, so I don't know which one you're using. But I feel like if you're using like the actual like barbell, and you're doing like it between your legs, like because I've seen those people do it that way, and they like pull it with like the weight on one side. I don't think that's called the same thing, but it's effectively the same motion. And I feel like when your hands are vertical like that, it's a lot easier on your. I don't know. I feel like it's more ergonomic.
Yeah, it definitely feels a little bit less. I don't know. It's more constrained also. So like you have, like the path of the barbell is more fixed. So it's not one of those things where you can just like bring it up to maybe your chest, or maybe you're bringing it up to your waist, or like any of these things. So you have, you can tell people what to do a lot more easily.
That's true. Yeah.
This is something where like I've been lifting for so long that if somebody asks for like advice on like placement or like a specific thing like that, like they say, oh, like Lucas, how do I bench? Like, where do I put my elbows? Like, I could have answered that really, really specifically at like 18 months into lifting. I could have been like, oh, my elbows are typically at like a 37.5 degree angle out from my side. And I have, I typically go down to this location, and they're like approximately 7 inches from either of my oblique muscles when I'm at the bottom of the lift, right? Like I could rattle off some shit like that. And now I have no fucking clue because I've just done it so many times that like, like I drop the bar into a benching motion, and it's just like, it is what it is. It's been repped out so many times. There's like a groove to it. I have like muscle memory. And this is when, this is like the thing with, did you ever get like a math teacher who was just like genuinely good at math and just like intuitively
fucking
understood
all of college, and
they fucking suck ass at teaching because they
have no idea how to
just say they say like really high level concepts to you and expect that you're just going to like understand it, and you're like and you need the math teacher who started as like a fucking idiot.
Yes, those are always the best ones, and they're like just good at like communicating. Yeah, I had a math professor who was like that, and I found him towards the end of my school career, and I was I had him for every single course if I can find him. Every single course he taught, I was like, I'm taking his course, because he just was like actually good communicator. But like most of them, I had this Russian dude who just fucking like just would just repeat the same thing over if you ask a question, because he's just like, I said this is what it is. It's this. I just told you the definition.
He just repeats the same instructions, and he does like a right click synonym replacement with like 3 of the words.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, so yeah, it's like. And then I had another guy who was even worse, where he would just write notes on the board because he had stage fright. He had like public speaking fear, which I didn't realize for a long time. I was like, why does he just not? Why does he just write everything word for word on the board? And that's what you do. You copy it down all class. And I realized because he has fucking stage fright. And I noticed he like stares at the clock.
How do you get hired as a teaching professor with
I think his
stage fright?
His fucking, I guess his like research on like topology was good or something. But yeah, he would like stare at the clock in the back of the room.
If you're good enough at your research, they're probably just going to let you in.
Yeah, but every single course, I took 2 courses with him, I got destroyed. Or I took 1 course with him, and I've never done worse in a math class. So I just was like, this guy is trash. I can't deal with it. And it doesn't matter. Surprisingly, you can learn the same exact material from 2 different people and just not get it from one of them. Sometimes it's not always about just reading it or whatever, or being intelligent enough. Like it really does matter who's teaching it to you.
When he gets older, he won't sound like this anymore, right?